back to the watch. Now, guys, there's a topic that I've been, or you could almost call it a controversy, following very keenly. I wonder if you guys are up to date on or even heard about. It is the controversy around Dungeons and Dragons open game license.
I've heard rumblings on a bunch of things, but I don't really know D&D that well, so...
I know nothing about D&D, but I have watched all the people talk about it.
The drama is very interesting from the little things I've heard.
So I'm an OG, like old school D&D player.
Yes.
I played first edition, advanced D&D, second edition, third edition, 3.5 is my jam, fourth edition was Abomination. And then after that, I started to see the flaws in the system. And I ended up making my own with my brother, Cogent Roleplay, which is an important topic in regards to this video specifically. Because there's a massive announcement in regards to Cogent Roleplay, in regards to perhaps one amongst many solutions to the issues that are going on with it. Stay tuned for that. And so D&D, it's grown bigger and bigger. And what has existed with it? There's been a thing called an open game license, which basically enables people to use the rule system and mechanics that D&D is based on to make expansion material, their own kind of role-playing games that are based on the same thing that might not necessarily be compatible, but it's founded on this system.
And why this is important, from what I understand, is like there is a very vibrant community that makes livings, like a business, off these things.
Oh, yeah. There's
several of these throughout the past. D20 Modern is an entire system I bought, which is a really interesting one, which is basically taking the D&D kind of mechanics and rules into a modern world setting. I remember Besom, which was an anime adaptation of the same rule system, which actually changed some fundamental things. But anyway, so these supplementary things have been around for ages. And recently there was a leak where Wizard of the Coast was updating the open games.
Oh.
We need to monetize this a bit more.
D&D is under-monetized, says Hasbro. And wow, what a dumpster fire this updated.
Well, it's a huge thing because basically if your entire livelihood is based upon a perpetual contract and then they just go, well, maybe not anymore. And then all of a sudden revenue splits, different things for different accounting comes into play. That's a huge deal. Wow. And it seems the response has also been proportional to that.
It's been massive. There are legitimate questions if Hasbro Wizards even have the legal right to revoke the original OGL and replace it with this new one. And the claim, they think they kind of can, but I don't see how that could work. And even the new one wouldn't be able to be applied retroactively to the previous stuff.
I think that they can, because like perpetual license, are they really perpetual? I mean, this is because this spills into whole different things like software, perpetual license, and then they change the entire subscription models. This happens a lot, but retroactively applying it, I don't think you can do that.
Yeah, I don't think they can. But just as another example, you might not have bought the expansion stuff, but there's a very high chance you've run across, many things that has actually been using the mechanics of D&D, right, under the open game license. For instance, did any of you guys play Knights of the Old Republic?
Yes.
Which one?
Yeah.
Which one? We talking?
First one.
Yeah. I played all of them. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Did you have a look at the statistics of your characters there? Do you remember the stats? Strength, dexterity, concentration,
Yeah, I do.
intelligence, wisdom, charisma?
Yeah.
Don't remember.
Actually, no, I do. Yes, I played it recently. Yeah.
D&D.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
See, I told you.
All right.
It reaches further than you might realize.
I'm just trying to think how though, because like lots of characters have different sort of base models for like intelligence, dexterity.
Well, with the Open Games license, you can grab sections of the D&D mechanics or the whole thing.
Yeah.
But there are definitely clear lifted sections that come from D&D under the Open Game license in Knights of the Old Republic. And I even think the core mechanics of the combat system, it's statistic probability based, it's D20 rolls.
Really? That's
yeah, it kind of is like that, because there has that at the top when you play Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2, there are these little things you have to kind of roll to get what you want, and there's a weird chance whether it does amount of damage or it doesn't do a high amount of damage.
Exactly.
And you just got to keep doing it.
So, no way will the people who made...
I didn't even realize that was like a mechanic.
I didn't realize it until he said it. It's like, oh, okay, so it is. Wow.
It's being used extensively in multiple properties without people being even aware that that's the case. Now, one of the interesting realities about this is that you could only copyright expression. This gets into legal jargon and stuff. And so the actual mechanics, you can't necessarily copyright. And so you can't create a game called Monopoly with the characters. There's a trademark to copyright and stuff. But you can make a game that almost has identical rules in the game that's called buy and sell properties and has a different like graphics on the board game and stuff. And
But I think it's more like collect 200 when you pass go. That would be a specific mechanic.
no, you can't copyright that. You can't copyright rules like that. What you can do, you can copy, if you write out the rules, right, you can copy the word for word description of those rules.
Yeah.
And if someone copied and pasted those rules, that's infringement of copyright. But if you reword it entirely and essentially describing the same mechanic, that can't be copyrighted.
Interesting. But because the way I would think about it is more of like the sum of its parts. So if you made a your own sort of mechanics based and your entire game was basically verbatim just D&D with just names changed, that would fall into copyright. I'm sure it would.
Like the good video to watch on this. Legal Eagle did a whole video.
I saw that one. Yeah.
That's the one where it's described. You can't actually copyright ideas.
I agree, but I'm saying if it was like, if you looked at it on paper and it's all 99% D&D except names are changed, that would, because it's such a large.
If you've reworded it, but you're still describing the exact same mechanics, it's not copyright infringement. But if you'd copied the exact text, because that's the expression, and then put it in your one, that is copyright. Now, what D&D released, they released a breakdown of their rules, right?
Yeah.
Which is basically separated from the D&D identity, where ideas and stuff, but it's got races and other things in it, but it's basically describing the mechanics.
Yep.
And they send that out as part of the OGL, saying, feel free to include this in your stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
You include that, that's copyrighted to, because the exact word.
I feel like we're getting into the weeds.
We are into the weeds, but it's important context to understand about this whole discussion.
Because one of the bombshells, I don't know if I'm jumping a bit here, but one of the bombshells was apparently one of the biggest like D&D having their own thing came out and against it, and that was like a huge deal because usually they shut their mouths and say nothing.
Not necessarily. So,
and that isn't. I don't know.
You talk about Critical Role?
Yes.
Critical Role hasn't really come out against it. They obviously have contractual obligations.
Right.
They're probably going to be making their own system. Paizo, which is one of the closest competitors to Wizards of the Coast, they make the adaptation of the 3.5 rule system known as Pathfinder.
Right.
And so the first Pathfinder is basically 3.5 with a couple of tweaks, and I like it.
Yep.
And then Pathfinder 2 is more complex. It's more their own thing when they changed up a couple of stuff. But Pathfinder's good stuff, okay? And that was all under the original.
I'm just getting a little lost.
What's in his brain just...
I'm trying to take it all in, and I'm like, okay.
I don't have the Pathfinder. I've got like, I have D&D stuff for reference and everything. But yeah, so anyway, Pathfinder's interesting. The issue about this new OGL, right, is basically if you use D&D now under this new OGL, if you end up signing it, you have to share revenue. And if you earn over $700,000, it's like 25% you've got to pay fork up. And then at the same time, there's a condition, there's a thing basically says Wizards can use anything that you make under.
Wasn't there also was it Kickstarter? How they also directly approached Kickstarter to get a cut or something like that?
This is the interesting thing. This is where the dishonesty comes in, because Wizards have come out and says, this is draft. We're just, we're just thinking about this stuff. It wasn't meant to be like going ahead. If it wasn't serious, why did they approach Kickstarter and make a separate deal that was based on this new OGL? That now I think, this is my understanding of it, is that they're allowing Kickstarter to, if they do it through Kickstarter, they would push people there, but they would get 20% instead of 25%. It was a better incentive for Kickstarter, and it was kind of like a deal like that. But the thing is, that shows that this was all serious from the get-go.
I
don't believe them when they say that. Rarely they tell the truth.
I saw the responses from Wizards of the Coast, and it was like how they're basically saying, nobody won here. We didn't lose. We didn't back. Like, that was insane.
The response was dog crap.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. Wizards of the Coast, the company, has been a dog crap company for a
Oh yeah, I've heard they've made like a bunch of weird changes to.
Really stupid changes. They have been infected by a certain mind virus. Let's just set it out. Where it is problematic to have evil monsters.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know about this. Like they wanted to get rid of like orcs and stuff.
Yeah, because they were identifying orcs with a certain race. I would say the people making that connection are the racists.
I would agree. What? I don't.
Yeah.
Okay, that's insane.
And that's just like the tip of the iceberg. Or what they've been doing in the Magic the Gathering community as well. Is just been bonkers.
That I've heard has been decimated.
Yeah, Wizards has been dog crap for a while, and this is just now you're realizing it. They don't care about the property, the actual core game. They were bought out ages ago. They're owned by Hasbro. They're just a corporation that wants money. They're a Disney clone, essentially, a lesser size Disney clone, and. There are leaks of people that actually do love D&D, that are working on D&D, that are in the company, that are, they're not the higher ups, but they've been leaking and saying, the higher ups, they hate the, fan base.
Oh, that's a great sign for the
very
future.
common occurrence these days, sadly. Very sadly.
They see us as loser nerds that are, can just be milked for money based on jangling keys of their favorite properties and, shovel the crap content and they'll just consume. The unfortunate thing is there's a lot of us nerds that are like that who will just consume crap because we love our properties and we want content of our properties.
Want them to be good.
And willing to accept lower quality versions of our properties because it's still the content that we want, which is unfortunate. And it's a type of, I feel the type of use is taking advantage of, something that people find actually special and getting fed crap and just getting squeezed for every second.
I mean, this just applies to literally all these franchises.
Yeah, the story sounds very familiar.
Yep. Just it's going and going and going, and here we have everything.
Scooby-Doo. Did you hear the rumor?
Oh, what, season 2?
No, about Scooby.
Oh, you know what?
No, the female Scooby.
That's some spicy man.
If they do that, oh wow, it's two of the racists again.
Right. So yes, par for the course. This is just exposing wizards as they are, and the backlash has been intense.
It's been really
good on the D&D community.
It's been in like a lot of like YouTubers that I watch, which I never have heard them talk about D&D ever before.
People that not just stay out of usually the drama stuff. They're for going forward and attacking it as well. And isn't there like employees also revolting?
Yeah, there is like people who are actually working on the D&D product that these are where the leaks are coming from.
I see. Yeah, so they are revolting. Okay.
And so there is trouble, under the surface there at Old Wizards, which they deserve it, because they are ruining what was once a great brand. But the thing is, it's kind of been getting ruined for a while. 5th edition, admittedly, was a step in the right direction from the abomination that was 4th edition, but I saw them trying to change the product for corporate decisions for a while. Specifically, it wasn't too big. I could push it aside, but the change between 3rd edition and 3.5, they suddenly introduce miniature mechanics. Now, people love miniatures, so there's that. But the other side to this you need to understand is that as soon as they launch miniature mechanics, they're launching miniature products. Everything it was specifically there to monetize the thing more. And for me, I'm a classic role player. I've never needed miniatures in role playing. Actually, I don't like using miniatures in role playing. I like miniatures in miniature-based games, but D&D was never a miniature-based game. It was an imaginative game, and it distracts from the experience.
But I just like miniatures. That's like Warhammer. That's just me. That's just me.
It wasn't like, total ruining. It was a sign that they're wanting to change. They're making changes to this, brand for corporate decisions. Well, monetizable based decisions, not for the core experience of the game.
I don't know. I want to be very clear how I word this. Okay, so I looked at something like the Kickstarters and stuff like that, and there is a lot of money being put into these like fan-made projects.
And Wizards want to cut.
So I can understand business decision that they're looking at this and going, there's a lot of money being put here. I want to cut. I can understand that aspect.
Let's actually talk a little bit about that because it's an interesting thing. Like Disney would never have let anything like an open games license.
No way. No.
The thing is, though, I actually think the original open games license was a bit of sleight and hand. I think from the beginning, they actually knew that you can't copyright the mechanics, the rules, okay? But by releasing an open games license and then a strict rule thing that they said, use this and put this in your stuff, right? That causes people to specifically use their copyrighted material because the expression, the actual description of the rules as written, because I forget exactly what it's called, but it's a rule set thing that's based on the OGL that they encourage to be included in.
But how long has it been around for, the OGL?
Oh, since like 2000.
I was gonna say, like, that's a long time to like be thinking ahead that much.
But this copyright law has been in place for existence.
Yeah, but
I think if they understood copyright law, they would know that they can't copyright the mechanics. But if they can get people to put in direct, like same word for word expressions of those rules, like the release that they did, that gets people to use their copyright, which then makes them they are now requisite needing the license, the OGL, to allow them to use that expression. Where if people just use it in their own words, they wouldn't have been infringing copyright.
I feel like that's giving him too much credit as
Well,
like super villain.
It's actually you know what I mean, like because I wouldn't put a part.
Like
this is the thing. I think the original OGL was pretty good faith. Okay, and in the fact that it opened up anyone to make expanded material, and it wasn't requesting any payback.
As I can't even think of another franchise that has.
Yeah, just
like that is
seems alien to me.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, one of the possible explanations might be because they could have been aware that they wouldn't have been able to copyright that stuff anyway.
Because it goes a long way for a company to come out and say, you can use all of this to create your own fan stuff. Because then people feel like, okay, we have the go.
Well, I mean, they have kept the actual intellectual property of D&D stamped down from the very beginning. And so these are called actual expressions of the work. And so the logo, the brand name, characters, stories, all that stuff. And so this is also why I like world settings like Forgotten Realms. That's locked down under copyright.
Yeah.
And so if you have a place called Waterdeep and you use one of the Forgotten Realms locations, that's in breach of copyright because that's actually copying a world setting. It's like story, character, and stuff.
Yeah.
That's all product identity, and so that's copyrighted. But in terms of the mechanics, like one of the explanations is that might have been one of the things. But like I said, it does seem mostly good faith, the original OGL. This new one seems dog crap. Like it will lock people in and then gives wizards the ability to really steal anything. Thing is, though, it does go both ways. Any independent person that creates a new roleplay mechanic, wizards can just lift that and do it in their own words, and they have every legal precedent to do it. It's not stealing, or it's not breaching copyright.
Part of me just understands why you don't just start from the beginning and create your own thing. That's just how I would personally.
I mean, guess what? That's exactly what I did with my brother.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's good. Because even with I like the miniatures, actually, I can see how the miniatures could enhance the game for some people. Okay, and this is why it didn't bother me because you know the way that I did, I just ignored the miniature mechanics that they introduced. But then 4th edition doubled down on that massively and tried to make a very video game kind of interpretation of it. It was dog crap.
But I just like painting miniatures.
Yeah, but fine. I think you could have made miniatures of your characters without the addition.
Yeah,
by making certain mechanics requisite on miniatures. Like for instance, they started to structure combat around miniature mechanic distances.
Yeah,
it's like 5 foot squares, where that was never a thing.
Yeah,
and so suddenly it's harder to play the game independently without miniatures because they are now structuring the game around miniatures.
Yep.
Okay.
And I don't really like that.
That's fair.
Yeah, it's changing something that was established for a while and
that didn't need it. It never needed that stuff.
Yeah, if it worked well before, why it's that famous thing of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But
there are multiple things that like I've always seen I can enjoy D&D. It's a fun game to play. So when I say this, don't think I'm throwing it all out. But there's always been things that has annoyed me.
I can do better.
Yeah?
Yeah. No, I mean, like, that's your...
Well, yes. Like one of the things that has annoyed me is, for instance, there are certain mechanics around the D&D game that I feel are made for monetization over quality of gameplay.
Right.
Limiting the characters you can play to a set list of character classes. I had a whole video on Shadiversity explaining why I feel character classes are flawed, because it's actually an exploitable mechanic. Instead of giving the players the freedom to make any character class that they can think of based on abilities you can pick from and stuff like that, which is what we've done with Cogent Roleplay.
Yep.
In D&D, they've locked that down to say you cannot play any other, character class. If you want these abilities, it's locked. But you know what that enables? It enables them to create, it's like, oh, you want more character classes? Well, guess what? We have an expansion that has additional character classes. And in D&D 3.5, this got stupidly ridiculous.
Yep.
The amount of expansion rulebooks that they were throwing out there to try and over-monetize this product got insane, to the point where they had so many additional feats, so many different character classes, so many different prestige classes and everything, they actually broke the game because they weren't looking at how these mechanics properly meshed, to the point where you could get these feats that were in the expansion modules and everything to give you a level 5 character, like the ability to knock out dragons in one hit.
So instead of creating
the power building and exploitation that happened,
Wait,
this is insane.
So how many books are we talking here?
Like
Because I'm just curious about a number now.
In 3.5, easily over 20, if not like
a lot of DLC, man.
like crazy amounts. And that always pissed me off.
I thought AAA gaming was exploitative at
It
times.
ended up literally ruining the game.
Yeah.
And the entire system and rule set was built around future monetization as a result, where you could have actually built the system more open and flexible, and literally give the players the ability to make any class they want based on thing, and you would never need that.
Well, from what I've seen of all the Kickstarters, how well they do, it just seems like people want good base content. And instead of doing that, they're just going to try and, okay, well, you guys are doing really good on making base content. We're just going to take a little bit of that.
Yeah, give us what.
We're going to take a cut of
They
that.
make better content than Wizards, and Wizards wants a cut.
Yeah.
And so they're greedy, and they've been focusing on product monetization over product quality. Look, it's a business. What do you expect?
I'm curious, the D&D movie, is that like going to be...
We'll review it. We'll see. Like, the other thing that's like, this is a personal thing. Some people like it, and if that's your preference, I have nothing against you for it. My own personal preference is that I like D&D that's grounded in its traditional roots, which is classic fantasy. Like, D&D was a clone of Lord of the Rings.
Oh.
Well, one of my favorite...
Lord of the Rings, essentially.
One of my favorite like childhood movies is the D&D movie from like 2000 or whatever. Yeah, I love that movie. It is like terrible in a fantastic way. It's so nostalgic watching that movie.
You know, the true D&D film, it's Lord of the Rings. Like that film encapsulates the true Dungeons & Dragons epicness that I always strive for in my role-playing stuff. What annoys me, again, people like that, is the modernization of fantasy, where they speak modern, they act modern and everything.
Stay tuned for a video on that. Yes.
It bothers me, and we see it and the D&D film is just exactly, it's like a Marvel clone.
Which one are we talking about?
The new D&D film that's coming out.
Oh, I haven't. We watched the trailer and it looked not terrible. It looks
fun.
Fun, yes.
There's that little thing about it is like, what D&D used to be more serious.
You see, I didn't know that. So if it was more serious, I might be. I had no clue.
I view D&D as more goofy. This is why I like the film. I like the 2000 film.
Right? That's a direct product of what Wizards has been doing to D&D as a result. Originally, if you go back to like Advanced D&D and Classic D&D, no, it was like serious.
That's fine, but I just personally see it as more goofy.
I feel lied to by these guys.
This is the thing.
They're like, yeah, it's supposed to be like
there is a spot for goofiness. I'm not saying there isn't, but there should be a spot for the serious epicness in true, classic epic fantasy that D&D is just being kind of
neglecting.
Yeah. And it's also like they're into these more, modern-ish fantasy races where the classic elves, dwarves, and humans and stuff are pushed to the wayside. Now we want tieflings and Azumar and elementals. And
knockoffs of the exact same thing.
Really? Oh, okay.
But I know they're more edgy. Anyway, that's all on the side. There is a spot for it. I just feel there should be both, and we're only seeing one, and the movie is a reflection of that. But I
still think it'll be a good movie. Like, just as a movie.
That's hard to see. That's not a trailer, but sure.
He shot a sword.
Yes, but I'm not looking at it like, oh, this is going to be the best Oscar-winning writing. I think it's going to be a fun movie. A done movie.
Look, I like Chris Pine, so we'll see. Anyway, there has been like these warning signs for a while. And just with the mechanics and everything, and now it's kind of come full circle. Is it the crows come home to
Chickens?
the chickens have come home?
Crows,
Crows, chickens, bird things. And the Wizards have been trying to salvage this. They've been doing desperate damage control.
Are they on EA level?
Sort of.
You say desperate damage control, but I've seen their responses, and they are like the most combative. Like, this is not how you say we messed up.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh,
We messed up,
I'd be
but you
curious
didn't
to-
win. You didn't win.
I haven't heard exactly what they said. Yeah, I'm curious now.
Well, see, yeah, it's pretty. You can look up some of the videos in response. Maybe I'll even.
We'll put a quote down there so you can.
It's pretty amazing, but it goes to show you that they're not planning on correcting the shit. They still want to exploit D&D as much as possible for money, because I think Hasbro has been doing worse. Even though D&D, the brand, has been skyrocketing thanks to the popularity of Critical Role and stuff. But now Critical Role, they're going to jump ship. They're going to make their own system. They have enough of a fan base to be able to support that. Paizo is there also offering an alternative. And now as well, myself and my brother, Jazza, are offering an alternative as well. This is actually the ultimate goal for Coach and Roleplay from the beginning. And so we are announcing Coach and Roleplay's full version release. And with it, we are launching it with an open license. Okay? So in the spirit of the OGL. And not in the sense that it's the mechanics, but if you want to use direct copyleft like things of Coach and Roleplay, go to town. And so I'll if you go to coachandroleplay.com, it's on the front page of the website. Now, audience might not even know that I have a role-playing system. I don't advertise nearly as much as I should.
There's a lot of things you don't advertise. You do good.
Yeah.
But no,
as we're running through it.
it was a passion project of me and my brother where we wanted to make the best, most playable, easy to use, enjoyable system. Really easy to get into, but has depth and complexity if you want to use the mechanics to get the most results. That's what Coach and Roleplay was at the very beginning, addressing the pet peeves I've had for instead of building a system around monetization expansion, building a system that's flexible and gives you everything you need from the get-go, but has options to be able to add to if people want. And that's what Cogent Roleplay is. And so with it, right, I'll just read from the website. Cogent Roleplay is launching with an open license which will allow anyone to adapt, develop, or include the Cogent Roleplay system in part or in whole in whatever venture they see fit, commercial or otherwise, so long as you follow these simple requirements. Attribution, okay? Yeah, if all you have to do is powered by Cogent Roleplay, based on Cogent Roleplay, and we have an attribution logo that you can download right there. And if you're going to use it in publication, front or back cover, add a course in credits, done, easily solved with that. You can't say published by Cogent Roleplay though, okay? It's not an official publication. Right. It's not done by me or Joss. And so based on, powered by, not published by. And you can't imply that it's an official or anything like that. This is an important thing for me and Joss, okay? Any game mechanic or game system you develop based on Cogent Roleplay will be open and freely available for anyone to reuse, include, adapt, or develop in their own projects that are also based on Cogent Roleplay. This is to ensure the continuing open nature, accessibility, and freedom of the system. Just as we are giving you this free license to use Cogent Roleplay, we require you to give the same open license for any game mechanic, not in IP, intellectual property, or character or anything like that, but any game mechanic you develop based on Cogent Roleplay, including in commercial ventures. Any intellectual property, which are characters, brands, stories, designs, etc., will be entirely your own, owned by the original creators and not subject to the same license. And so, game mechanic. Now, technically, the game mechanics, you can use as you wish, but if you want to use the word-for-word Cogent Roleplay stuff, this open license allows you to do it in commercial ventures as you like. But if you develop any game mechanic that's on Cogent Roleplay,
that's free and open for everybody else to use.
We want Cogent Roleplay to be a community thing that people hopefully will continue.
That was good. You had me in the first half, not gonna lie. When I heard that, I'm like, oh, okay. But then you still get to keep all your copyright. I'm like, oh yeah, that's fine.
Exactly.
That's fine.
I mean, this applies to me. I'm fully going to be developing, a role-playing system on the medieval setting that I'm going to write my current book in. Also, maybe one on Everfall, okay? And it'll be the Chronicles of Everfall role-playing game that will be based on Powered by Cogent. Yeah. And to make the magic system of Everfall or the magic system of my medieval setting to work and apply, I need to actually write a new system that fits the world setting, okay? Mm-hmm. You can't copy the world world building elements, right? But you can use the mechanics because that mechanics will be built on Cogent Roleplay, and that's free and open to lift, duplicate in whole.
Yep.
And I'm doing that, and I'm going to be developing a full role playing system on that.
Yep.
With this same open license, and it's available for anyone else to do so.
Yeah, that seems fair to me.
Yeah, likewise.
Sounds right.
Okay, and then use of Cogent Roleplay, use of the Cogent Roleplay system in Parter and Whole in any project constitutes acceptance of this license. You don't need to sign it.
Yep.
You use it, you're accepting it, and done. That's it.
And to be clear, you're going to be announcing a big one on Shadowverse.
Maybe. I'll talk with Joss. We're both like, this is kind of like a soft announcement, but it would be good if we could do a joint video and put it out there but share it, people, if you want, if you have people, know people might be interested to do it as a free and open option going forward. That is there. And Cogent Roleplay hopefully will just continue to grow because with this, it'll be great to see new mechanics that people might want to add. There's like one that was really great was I did a roleplay session on Joss's tabletop time around the X-Men. And the Game Master has such a great mechanic of how to roll for X-Men's type powers and everything. It was really cool. And there's those type of mechanics that can be expanded, and the core system isn't changing, but it means it can grow.
And I'm assuming that Jazza is going to be applying the same to his stuff as well, so it'll be open for everybody.
Exactly.
Seems fair to me.
Yeah, you can't publish anything under the Cogent Roleplay.
Yeah, that's a good thing because I think if you got to be very clear that people, when they put the logos and stuff on, it's not officially endorsed or implying that it's published by that.
Well, exactly. So
just that it's crediting where you got your base mechanics and stuff from.
Yeah. Well, this is the attribution here. By Cogent Roleplay. Go to cogentroleplay.com and when you go to the main website here, the entire rulebook is available for free. We made the rulebook for available, all the rules for free from the very beginning. We always intended this to be freely available for everyone.
Are you going to do like a little hardcover or something, like a little pocketbook?
So we are thinking of doing a print hardcover book version of it down the track.
Yeah.
And that'll be an official Cogent Roleplay, publication. And of course that needs to be paid for because it's a physical product.
Yeah.
But the rule set is available free digitally and still will be even when we publish those things. Yeah. And you got the character sheets and breakdowns. And so these are like easy abbreviations for,
It just looks like white noise to me.
Yeah, like this is a whole other world.
It's actually really simple. The core system is actually a D6 based system.
Well, I said let's do a thing like one of those the games.
Yeah. And and so it's actually a very easy system to pick up, and it's not D20 based. Though D20 is used for Destiny rolls, but it's a D6 based on challenge level, and it's for free. Give it a go, and if you want to develop your own roleplay systems, here's a free open, version that you can use. And, D&D isn't the only game in town. And it's a mistake to think D&D is the best system either, okay? It's just the most well-known one. There are problems that I don't like in the actual, D&D role-playing system. But a lot of people like the world of D&D. And that's what kind of brings them in. And so that's when I developed my own role-playing medieval fantasy-based thing.
Yep.
That's where I can offer people a world that's really immersive and diverse and got all the characters, fantasy, everything. But one of the key things about my one is that it's more like Lord of the Rings. It's more like authentic and serious.
No goofy.
But it's got a lot of medieval cool stuff in. I've already done role-playing sessions based in this world setting.
Yeah.
And so there's actually ones on here on Night's Watch called Silverthorn.
Yeah.
That I did with some of the other guys in the Community of the Sword. And there's one on Tabletop Time called The Ruin Lich.
Right.
And then you get a sneak peek of the world setting with those sessions. So there are, options to not be locked down into Wizards of the Coast and D&D. Paizo is also working on one as well.
Yeah.
Which looks great.
And I'm sure that there's going to be other big competitors popping up.
No, especially now.
Well, that's the thing. This is almost a death blow that they're causing themselves. D&D was bigger than ever.
Because you remember when someone is making a choice now, do I want to pursue like a financial, do a Kickstarter or something like that? Even if it's fine now, is it going to be fine in the future?
Well, yeah, especially if they've already shown that they're willing to stretch out their hand for all that money. It's like, we don't care.
But not only that, what's really scummy is that they have that provision that they can just copy anything, it seems like. If you sign this, we have the right to...
And to be clear, yours is only just, it's not even copying, it's saying that other users will be able to use the mechanic if you create.
Well, the mechanics technically are available for anyone to use, but if you want to copy the actual like text and system and stuff, you can do that.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is,
that's
if somebody creates their own mechanic under your rules, their mechanic is allowed. That
mechanic is
but you keep all your intellectual property.
Exactly. So if you make a unique character class it'll be called a vocation under Kojin roleplay, like vocation that people use for the world setting. That's a world setting element. Again, it's like an actual character theme.
Yep.
No, that's not copyrightable.
Yep.
World building is it's only
just
mechanic.
The sharing mechanic.
Exactly. So very interesting. Like I'm not sure Wizards will actually recover from this. The D&D community not having any bar of it. Let us know what you think in the comments below. We appreciate you joining us. And as always, stay on watch.